Hi everyone, my name's Mary Ann Camarado, and I'd like to talk to you about a couple of words I believe that might just change your life, maybe even the course of your life, maybe our life here on the planet. Um, the first word is FAT. Actually, it's an acronym. The truth is, it's an acronym, not a word, which is different than a word. Nonetheless, it stands for the Feminine Aptitude Test that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And if you're a woman or care for women in any capacity, seeing fat in a new way may be a game changer or even a lifesaver. So please stay with me. But first, let's do a little quick review of semantics. Semantics is a Greek word, semantikos. Perhaps that's not a surprise, but what might surprise you is when it's literally translated, semantics means significant. Basically, it means that words matter. Semantics is also considered the study of meaning, particularly the meaning of language and words. Now, I have to assume that the argument's been made that we're meaning-making machines as human beings. We could say, for example, our economy runs on the meaning we make of just about everything, from decisions about relationships, what car to drive, what house to buy, who we vote for or have voted for. If this doesn't resonate, perhaps I would invite you to sit with this and see what meaning you'd prefer. And then laugh out loud. But seriously, for our purposes here, most of us would agree with this very basic lexicon, except maybe Donald Trump, who apparently feels like his words, let me quote them for you, "When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab 'em by the pussy. You can do anything," actually has no significant meaning to him, which would be convenient, even miraculous, particularly since we know since the Phoenician times, words, communication in general, and their meaning are critical for human survival. While to some extent I think we can all understand Donald Trump's plight, in that most of us would love to have been able to suck back in certain words into our face, uncaring, even malintended words and sentences we've uttered that once said have indelibly scarred or maligned others. But most of us are not running for president. The universal impact of those words, in this case, being potentially far more lethal, potentially causing war, genocide, human extinction, even to the total destruction of all life as we know it. But you know what? The thing is you don't get to be a cherry picker there, Donald. These words, this kind of outright lying on top of everything, and the propaganda is far too reminiscent of Hitler's minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels. The words he spoke, which many of you might remember, if you tell a lie 100 times, people will believe it eventually. So yes, words matter. And because you don't get to be a cherry picker, Donald Trump, maybe you should enter a pie contest next time when we get to judge you for things you're actually better at. Like, I don't know, maybe you'll wear a bathing suit or a sexy dress and dance about while you're reciting poetry, and we can sit and watch. Or maybe it's time to amend the U.S. Constitution or the qualifications for a president of the United States and include a section on character that uses words like respect and integrity. But I digress, because here's the deal. FAT is, as I said, an acronym for the Female Aptitude Test. But what we want to do here is we want to talk about what we're putting up with as females, what we're tolerating. I'm going to talk more about this in a minute, because the actual other word that might change your life that I want to introduce is normalization, a word currently popular in the media, yet when we fully comprehend it down into our bones and into the context of female sexual objectification, this word can be a portal for cultural transformation. A portal, when entered with courage, curiosity, and passion, could just help us change the way we actually value women. Well, unless of course you don't like facts, like being universally held in low regard by a significant population of men in positions of power on the planet, or like the fact that women have a general shelf life, I think, of 25 years old without cosmetic enhancement or surgery, that is, or like watching your children objectifying themselves. I mean, American statistics include now young girls are dieting at 9 years old, have anorexia by 11 years old, have anxiety disorders, teen pregnancy, or how about this? That 1 out of 3 of us women will absolutely experience being battered or raped in our lifetime. In which case, you might just take this test out of curiosity to see how you're deluding yourself or complicit. I mean, if you were, say, a woman who has ever used her sexuality to better your life, and I mean ever and in any way, consciously or not, please take this test. If you've ever worn lipstick, a push-up bra, dyed your hair, or told yourself you love wearing spandex because it's what natural women do and because it makes you feel empowered, please take this test. And whether or not you like her, Hillary Rodham Clinton recently summed up women and sexual objectification and abuse saying, "What woman hasn't had to deal with these issues in their lifetime?" Normalization in psychosocial terms refers to a social process through which ideas and actions come to be seen as normal and become taken for granted. And startlingly, throughout history, is often associated with exerting maximum social control with the minimum expenditure of force. Sexual objectification of women is an excellent example of a normalized social phenomenon that aims to assert social control, in this case of women. What's not so obvious, however, is the pernicious and insidious damage this normalization has done and continues to do. And considering the way we women often deal with this normalized social shadow, the way we embody it, I like to say mostly by walking around in a trauma trance, is what I like to call it, is a survival strategy that uniquely shapes each of us in the complex and variety of issues that are often experienced along with this individual pathology, this cultural wound that we take on as individual psychopathology, ranging from being completely shut down from our own bodies to believing we're loathsome and worthless if we were simply more attractive, that our lives would be better. Look, at the majority of women I've witnessed tend to cope with this gigantic elephant in the living room or White House or nations, take your pick, fall somewhere on the spectrum of unconscious survival coping mechanisms, including medicating, being perfect, trying the seductress story, being a rebel, or some of all of these while doing our best to awaken from this story that has a grip on us, that shaped us. And there are likely many more versions of these coping styles. Feel free to add your own. But this FAT test is trying to capture the general constellation that captures some of the most obvious coping styles. Email me, please, and I will send you this female aptitude test immediately. Maryanne at maryannelive.com or info@maryannelive.com, MARYANNE live.com. The result might surprise you and even shock you. Look, at the FAT test is sort of like the SAT test because it's a test, but this test may not only inspire you to rethink your entire life, never mind your academic career, but the thing is, the only person that's going to judge the results here are going to be you. It's going to be you. Here's the other thing. Only you know how honest you are being with yourself, and please keep in mind that for most of us, these defenses and coping mechanisms are such because we need them. It's genuinely dangerous and terrifying to step outside this cultural norm. We believe we wouldn't survive, and sometimes we don't survive. So we can do this together. You'll have to wait for my research to come out to get into this larger context or this larger conversation and inquiry, looking at the way the cultural shadow of female sexual objectification and self-objectification affects women's embodied experience. But for now, we can start to look at this together for what we can see, what we can do, which is to have the courage to consider that it's even happening right now. Starting with being curious about how the word fat lands for you. It's just a word after all, isn't it? Fat. Well, take a moment. How does it make you feel when you hear this word? What ideas or images does it conjure? What meaning does this word have for you? Where do you feel it in your body? You might want to make a note of this. Now, in the meantime, let's take a chance and see where you might be on this spectrum of female consciousness right now, what you believe your value and worth is within the current socio-political atmosphere, which currently dictates a woman's worth via sexual commodification, as evidenced by our capitalistic society. Oh, and 5,000 years of Western history. But anyway, who knows? Maybe you'll tap into the collective in a new way and find a new direction to set your sail. Perhaps you'll leave that awful relationship or realize your body is sacred. Or perhaps you'll just try this on, really look and see if you can handle the truth of how you've been forced or coerced to make unsavory choices in the name of survival. Maybe these bitters are just what you need to help us come closer, all of us, to heal, feel, and deal with this gross imbalance of femininity. And together, one soul at a time, we can retrieve the feminine soul of the world. Please send me your email address and we'll send you the quiz helping you look at where you are on the spectrum of embodied response to the social normalized phenomenon of female sexual objectification. Look, much like Hillary Clinton, I have personally never met a woman who has not been affected by this silent, relentless, semi-invisible, shape-shifting, soul-sucking shadow of our American culture, the normalization of female sexual objectification. And I mean to help put an end to that, using my words and my deeds to empower women to find the truth about who they really are, to empower men to revision their own relationship with the divine feminine, and encouraging us all to revision the sacred feminine together. Even you, Donald Trump, this is your wake-up call. Time to pick up. My name is Marianne Camarado, and I endorse this video. MarianneLive.com, info@MarianneLive.com. Please let us know. Participate.